Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Karwat. I'm a women's health coach and vegan nutritionist, and in this video we're going to talk about why periods are not disgusting and nothing to be ashamed about. We have to stop making periods wrong, period. First things first, why do we make periods wrong in the first place? I truly believe that how the majority of us grow up, we learn that we don't talk about periods. And I also want to preface this by saying that obviously everyone grows up in a different household. But I do know that when I grew up, for me, it was something you didn't talk about. You didn't show your tampon publicly. You were rather hiding it. You were hiding that you were on your period. I remember there were days I was on my period and I was still doing things I wasn't supposed to do in terms of drinking alcohol and going out and partying. And it was just kind of a thing that didn't exist. That's the way that I would live my life is, you know what? Periods don't exist. We know it's there. We know we have it. We know we can suppress all of the symptoms by taking birth control or medication or whatever it is. And by doing so, we are basically suppressing the power that we have innately in us. And for some of us, it might have been ingrained from an early age. For some of us, it's just a generational thing. For some of you, you've never really even ever talked about it, even with your mom. I think it's a very personal thing and a very personal journey to be on. But I do also think because we tend to be shamed about our period, or we tend to maybe suppress it with birth control, what can happen is that we bring that shame into adulthood. And I think a lot of people don't realize how that shame can be linked to hormonal health problems, to infertility issues. And I know while I'm saying it, it might not make a lot of sense, but let me explain. When we learn that something so normal about us is wrong or shameful, or we should be suppressing it, or we shouldn't be really having it, it's annoying, we make this part of ourselves wrong. Energetically and emotionally, we say things towards that thing that are not benefiting us. For example, we say things like, I hate my period, it's so annoying, it's here, I hate the pain that I have, I feel like a different person. We're saying all of these things, which creates an energy that is not positive. It creates rather a negative energy, and we're directing it towards something so sacred within us that then when we, for example, are having hormonal health problems, like it can be anything, irregular cycles, PCOS, heavy period pain, endometriosis, I can go on and on, we wonder why we have those. And oftentimes they are developed because of suppressing the power that we have within us through our period, through our menstrual cycle, right? So I'm hoping I'm making sense here, but I think that's really important that we understand this, that oftentimes we're actually, the more that we push something away, the more problems it can create. And I know some of you might think, but I've had PCOS since I can remember, and that is okay and that can happen, but that is also linked oftentimes to unsuppressed trauma, unresolved emotions. We are very holistic beings and energetic beings, and when we experience something in our life, it leaves an imprint on us. It leaves this energy oftentimes within us, or this energy is oftentimes stuck within us. And when we don't release that, it can cause certain issues. And for some women, it might be hormonal health issues. It can come to, it can create chronic pain or other diseases that can develop with time, right? So long story short, what I actually want to say here is we need to allow ourselves to embrace our period. And I know this is not easy work to do, but I do want to talk about that because I do think if you've been shamed about it, or if you've found it shameful, or if you've been suppressing it, if you've not been wanting to really talk about it, or if it's been an annoying part of you, it will probably create more ripple effects later on in life as well, which doesn't mean that they cannot be resolved. Most of us listening to this are probably adults at this point, and you're like, oh my God, it's too late now, which is not. I started this work a lot later than I wish I would have, obviously, but I was definitely able to resolve a lot of the things concerning my cycle. My cycle used to be super irregular, painful, just really bad, like not a nice, enjoyable cycle. It would really impact my life in many ways. And so what was really important for me is to do this work. And you will see that in some cultures, women are celebrated for their periods. They are, put into sacred places. They're celebrated. They have rituals that they do. Many women are honoring it in that positive way. And some cultures do the opposite. They see it as something that is disgusting, or women are dirty, and they're taken away from everyday activities that they're no longer allowed to do, like cooking. There's a whole book about this. If you guys are interested, let me know. But in short, we can see how diverse it really is in the world and how many people approach it and how people approach it differently. That's what I wanted to say. And so we got to realize that ultimately as women, we have life force within us. What does this mean? Women and female animals are the only creature that can create life, that can birth children. And that is so powerful just by saying it out loud. And we know that. Many people know that. We think, oh my God, it's incredible what our bodies can do. But on the other hand, then we suppress actually everything that has to do with it. The reason why you're able to do it in the first place, right? So we got to understand that both of us, it is connected. And the more that we embrace that, the more that we allow ourselves to experience what it is to be a woman, the less disgusted we're going to be, the less ashamed we're going to be, the less dirty we might think it is, the less annoying we might think it is. Now, the second point that I have here is truly one belief that I have is, and I've seen it with women that I worked with, the more that we learn about our cycle, the more empowered we can become. Many people that I speak to on a daily basis are in the blue about the cycle, what happens, cycle syncing, the different phases, hormonal changes. And obviously in my world, because I've been talking about it so much and it's part of my life, I sometimes forget about it. And I talk to women about it. They're like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. And then it clicks again for me. I'm like, oh yes, of course. It's not yet that common. Now, I truly believe it's not about becoming an expert in women's health and understanding all of these physiological processes, but it's more about knowing about it, which will make you feel very empowered about yourself. Because when you know, you're able to put two and two together and understand, oh, that's why I reacted this way the last time, or that's why I felt tired, or that's why my body needed more sleep, or that's why I was hungrier, or that's why I was in pain, or that's why my boobs were hurting. There are so many things that you can start to link by knowing this stuff. And you're gonna be surprised what can come up and how aware you can become of your cycle when you allow yourself to understand the menstrual cycle, the 4 phases, and really, I want to say first have the basic knowledge that you can work with, because the more that you know, trust me, your life is going to change. You will see things differently, and everything in life is just going to feel a lot easier. And then lastly, actually not lastly, my next point, I have another point that I added as a bonus, is the fact that 80% of women have hormonal health problems, and 70% of these women don't even know that they have them. What does this mean? Many women are living with these problems and they don't know about it. They think it's normal. They think my periods are miserable, I have hormonal imbalances, maybe some there, I'm bloated, my weight changes like crazy every month, I'm just moody, I just have low energy, I just blah, 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 blah. And people think it's just the way that it is. But that's not the case, because then we're again not taking our power back, but we can take our power back by recognizing that these things are there for a reason, and many of these things can be resolved. And yes, they might take maybe a little bit longer than you would like to, but ultimately they can be resolved, they can be changed. And how incredible is that by changing the way that we live, and by healing our traumas, and by cycle syncing, and by doing all of this work, we can heal ourselves from PCOS, from endometriosis, yes, from fibroids, from period pain, from PMS. These are all of the things that I truly believe can be resolved, or at least reduced to a minimum, so they no longer impact your life the way that it might be impacting your life right now. This is really the true power that we can take back by stopping to see our cycle or our period as disgusting or shameful, but by understanding it's a natural part of us, and understanding also why we might have certain issues or health problems in the first place. Because the more that you understand yourself, the more you will be able to act upon these things and change your life accordingly. Now, one more thing that I want to talk about, and I don't talk about it that much ever. This is a longer term project that I have in mind of what I want to start doing and resolving in the future. But one thing that I think is not yet spoken about enough is period poverty. This is a term that describes the situation that many girls are going through in the world. If it's in developing countries, in very poor countries, or even in the United States, or families who just don't have a lot of money. Period poverty means that these girls don't have access to hygienic period products like pads, tampons, anything like that. And because they do not have the access to it because of money, not having enough money or not even knowing how to get these products, these ladies or these girls starting at a young age have a big disadvantage to the boys. What that means is because they have a period once a month, they have no period products, they don't know what to do. So oftentimes they miss school, they can't go to school, or they put old magazines or whatever they can find into their underwear, which can of course cause health issues too, or they use pads that they have already used before, which can again cause health issues too. So long story short, many of these girls have a disadvantage in school, in the economy, because when as girls you miss school every month for a couple of days, you're missing out on educational material, you're more likely to not get the grades, you're more likely to not finish school the right way, and you, in this case, will maybe not get the best work position or whatever it is, right? So it's very much a vicious cycle, and that also has impact on the government, on, how these women are developed and how they grow up in society. And this is a real thing that many people are not talking about. Many people are talking about it, but many people are not talking about it. And I do think why I'm sharing this is because it starts with us. And it doesn't mean you have to go ahead and travel to Africa and give these kids, those products. Obviously it would be great, but it's about you shifting the narrative on how we speak about periods and really opening up the conversation and not being ashamed of it, talking about it with your family, your friends, your colleagues, your boss, making it a normal thing, normalizing it, telling people what you're going through, telling people how you feel. The more that we do that, the more these period poverty issues will be able to be diminished because people have the awareness. At this moment, when a lot of men are in positions with power, they will not think about that. It starts with us women to start sharing this so that more and more and more people, even men, recognize what an issue this is. Same thing when it comes, and I didn't plan on talking about this, but when it comes to women who are experiencing burnout, many women could not experience a burnout if they just knew this stuff. If they knew how to work with their bodies, if they allowed themselves to rest and take a day or two to themselves if they needed to. But as long as we don't speak about it, more and more of this stuff is going to happen. More and more women are going to burn out. More and more women will be working against their bodies. More and more girls will not have the opportunity to go to school because they don't have hygienic products at home. So no, periods are nothing to be ashamed about. Actually, periods are amazing. They help us understand who we are as women. And the more that we honor that, the more that we work with our bodies, the more powerful we can become. And that's really the emphasis that I have of this message. And I really hope in some kind of way it resonates with you, or you just got an aha moment, or you want to help, and there are foundations out there that you can sponsor, or not sponsor, but donate to when it comes to period poverty. There's so many things that you can start doing today that's going to really change the narrative of the world and how we see women and what periods are really about and how amazing we as women are. And ultimately it's up to us to create a world that is powerful, where women feel empowered to be themselves, where women are empowered to speak about these issues, and where women are not shamed for this biological aspect of their life, which is ultimately the life force that we have within us. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you have additional questions, comments, thoughts, please share them with me on Instagram. I'm gonna drop my free mini workbook here in the show notes where you can download your cycle syncing mini workbook, as I just said, for free. Said it twice now, but you can get it in there in the show notes. Just go ahead, click on it, download it, and have fun with it. It's, obviously it's vegan recipes, but there's so many other things like journal prompts and really understanding, those little bits and pieces about your menstrual cycle. But that is it. Thank you so much for being here. Sending you so much love, and until next time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you want to download my free cycle syncing journal, you can find it as well in the description of the video. If you want to subscribe, please do so. Please share this video with your friends, your family, whoever needs to see this. And again, thank you so much for being here. Until next time.